All right, everyone, welcome to Election Week 2020. It is your Monday edition of Reality Check. It is the top of the Election Week Reality Check here on the home of Black Talk Media. No other place other than WURD, no place like WURD, the home of Black Talk Media, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, wordradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app as well. I'm Charles Ellison. I'm your host, executive producer, and also creator of Reality Check here on WURD. I am also your anchor for our hashtag Word on Politics coverage all week long. It will be a very long week. Maybe it won't be a long week. Maybe it'll just be so much going on that it will go by fast. We hope it goes by fast, and we hope that it gets resolved this week. All of that tension, all of that anxiety, everything, just all that frustration and anger and outrage, everything pent up. Now it's time to, well, as they used to say back then, it's time to exhale. You know, we've been waiting to exhale. So that exhale now, that process of exhaling now takes place this election week 2020. We have special Word on Politics coverage, of course, here on Reality Check and all throughout the week here on WURD. Obviously, much of what we're going to talk about, most of what we're going to talk about here on Reality Check and also throughout WURD programming is what's happening on the political landscape. You've got no other black media outlet, black talk media outlet that I know of. I know everybody's going to be talking about the election, but not in the way that we will be talking about it and really dissecting it, providing you with analysis from some very sharp, smart people, many of them whom you hear regularly here on Reality Check. That will be happening throughout this week. Phone lines are open, by the way, right now, 215-634-8065, toll free. It is 866-361-0900. Leave your comments on our WURD TV Facebook live stream. Definitely leave your comments there. You can also do so at youtube.com/onWURD. I'll try to check that as frequently as I can, but I know a lot of folks like to congregate on facebook.com/4word. So leave your comments or your good mornings there or your salutations. Really appreciate that. 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Have you voted yet? Have you voted yet? Did you take advantage of the early voting that is happening right now? We do know that over 95 million Americans have done just that. They've taken advantage of early voting. We have well surpassed the, not just the early voting from 2016, which was 58 million. We have surpassed, we've actually surpassed like a couple of turnout numbers for some election cycles. And it's just huge what's happening. I think last night it was about 93.2 million ballots. Already we're over 95 million ballots. The big question of Monday is, will we reach 100 million? Will we reach a magic number of 100 million? Now, keep in mind that a total of 140 million, 140.1 million to be more exact, ballots were cast in 2016. So, and not only do we now see this is like a 62% increase in early voting from 2016. So from 58 million to now over 95 million. We now have 68% of all ballots cast in 2016. So the number 95 million is about 68% of all those 140.1 million ballots that were cast in 2016. So just by early voting alone, we've almost matched, we've been able to accomplish through early voting basically nearly 3/4 of the 2016 electorate, and that's pretty remarkable. That 140.1 million figure is the very last total ballot count of all ballots that were counted in 2016, and that's from the 2017 Election Administration and Voting Survey from the Federal U.S. Election Assistance Commission, and they study election trends and also when they can, when they're given that, not well, when they're given the resources, they try to provide resources as well for various elections administrators throughout the United States. But that's the number we have. The combined ballots cast for both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2016 was about 129 million. So this figure right here, which we have 95 million, that's about 73%. That's close to a full 3/4, a full 75% of the combined ballots that were cast. There was about 129 ballots cast for both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Remember, Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote. She did not win the Electoral College. She only got 232 Electoral College votes in 2016 versus Trump's 306 Electoral College votes. She received about 65.9 million votes compared to Donald Trump's 63 million votes. So she did best, and then there were more ballots which were counted after that election night, ballots that really wouldn't have made much of a difference in terms of the final count. But there's a little bit more caution that's happening right now in this election among a lot of election administrators in a number of counties, especially in Pennsylvania. I told you, I've been telling you for months, all eyes on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, especially Philly, a very special place, a very, very special place. Let's step up to the moment, Philly. All right, step up to the moment. Philly, southeastern PA, Pennsylvania. Don't get in your feelings, or don't, get all groggy and curmudgeon-y and, stubborn and feel like, why are you talking about us? Why are you talking? Why does God be all on the black vote? Okay, well, but this is the moment. Just step up to the moment. Own and embrace that moment. Feel a little bit proud that that you could be, especially you, Philly, you could be the decisive vote that saves the world. Like, seriously, I mean, with everything that's going on right now, don't you want to save the world? You want to save the world or not? Why you get mad? I've seen a lot of conversation with this on social media. I've had direct conversations with people, and they're like, they're going to try to blame the black vote if we don't pull this off. No, I mean, it's just, don't worry about that. Like, and, like I've always said over the past few months, like, other voting blocks, particularly the white voting bloc, white men, white women, Latino men. We haven't talked about them. Nobody wants to talk about them. Everybody wants to talk about black men, the black male vote. You need to watch that Latino male vote, particularly in places like Florida. You need to check it because it's not looking so good for Biden-Harris when you look at how that Latino male vote is going to perform, and also how it performed in 2016, and who it's going for, how it's going quite a bit into Trump's column. But especially from white men, Latino men, everybody wants to kind of give black men voters a hard time. There's some black males out there going to make the knucklehead move in 2020. So if you have not voted yet, or if you're undecided, you know what the move is. You know that this is not just a partisan vote. Considering all that's going on, this is indeed 2020 is the vote that has to save the world. I've always used that Star Wars analogy. This is the moment where the Death Star is hanging over the planet, and all of us, we got to be Luke Skywalker. We got to be on target, and we got to get this done. All right, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. So I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit proud that, Philly could be, in southeastern PA, the place where we all grew up, is, being looked at as the decisive corner of this very major battleground state called Pennsylvania. I feel kind of feel kind of hype about that. So I don't know about you. So I just do. I mean, I love all the attention, during this election. So it's not any of the other states. It's not unwanted attention for me. So, hey, we get happy when everyone pays attention to the sports teams in Philly. Why not? I mean, this is like the big ultimate game here, this presidential election. Also, we'll be watching a number of races that will be happening, not just statewide, because remember, Pennsylvania State House is in tight contention. That's a toss-up, the Pennsylvania State House, so we're going to be watching that very closely, and some State House seats. Okay, so let me lay out, just doing a little bit of, kind of administrative items here, just kind of going through the list. So we're going to have special election coverage all week here on WURD, here on, especially on Reality Check. That's all you're going to, that's what we do. We do the politics thing. So we're going to be doing that like nonstop. We're going to be on steroids as far as politics is concerned, as far as this election is concerned. We're going to bring on as many guests as we can possibly get, analysts. Also tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Don't forget. Okay, so 9 p.m. So you can get special election coverage. You can listen to it here on WURD as a live broadcast. I'll be anchoring that from 9 p.m. to midnight as we watch some of the returns come in. We may not hear certain states called. It's going to be a very long week. A lot of folks, rightfully so, are taking their time to count ballots, particularly in Pennsylvania. But we will be on the air. We have a special election night broadcast just for you here on W. It's an exclusive election night broadcast. We've got some of the brightest minds who join us all the time here on Reality Check, who will be joining us for that special election night broadcast. We even have some moments where you can call in and ask questions or give comments, give feedback, or tell us what your election day experience was like, because I know there's a lot of folks out there who have not voted yet and are waiting for election day. So listen to us, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, sharp, live here on WURD, and you can also watch us on WURD TV as well. I want to welcome back Troy Wilmore. Troy Wilmore is back. Troy Wilmore is back with us, our intrepid producer here for Reality Check. He's back on the board of steel, so real good to have him back. Real happy to hear and see him. So just want to let y'all know, you want to thank Troy for also helping us make this week-long special election 2020 coverage available and also useful to you. Let me go to Rosalind out of Kensington, who's calling in for a Reality Check. Rosalind, how are you doing?
Yes, praise the Lord, my brother. How are you?
How are you doing? All right.
I'm calling in reference to, I live in Kensington, and I have spoke with men since the primary, black and brown, and they just refuse to vote. So I pray that they change their mind on this last day. And also, I just want us to win for our children, for, whatever our ancestors went through. And we also missing a lot of votes from Jehovah's Witness. This is not the time. We need those votes. And also, I want to give you a number. I spoke with a Miss Shirley yesterday, and she's willing to pick anyone up, whether it's in North Philly, South Philly, or West Philly, or on the east side. And the telephone number is, and it's free, the telephone number is 267 736 7468. No matter, she said, just call and she will pick you up to take you to the polls.
Okay. Put that number out there one more time. Just a little public service here. Yeah, I appreciate it.
267 736 7468. Miss Shirley.
Okay. Miss Shirley. Okay. Thank you, Miss Shirley. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Rosalind. I appreciate that, too.
I love
I appreciate a little public service. Yeah.
Come on now. Stop being lazy people. But we need those votes right now.
Yeah, we really need that.
My new slogan is stay smart, stay sharp, and most of all, stay safe.
That's right.
I
appreciate
y'all.
you. Yeah, we love you back. So thank you for that. So thank you for voting. Thank you for participating. And please send my best to Ms. Shirley as well. Really appreciate that, Ms. Shirley, if you're listening in, if you're tuning in. I know some folks out there who are having issues with transportation, maybe having issues getting from one place to the next, particularly our elders, because our elders, they know what time it is. They know what's up. And, our elders have always been ready for the big step-up moments. And so our elders need every bit of help that they can get to get to those polls. Because I know, the elders, and I know because I grew up with an elder who took me to the polls every election cycle, local, state, federal election cycle. She took me all the time. That was her, that she enjoyed it immensely. That was the thing, a moment where she could bond with all her peers and her friends. But because of what she went through, because of the type of history that she had a full grasp and understanding of, because of that history, she understood that was a duty. That was an ancestral duty. You have to, that's the first thing we have to establish here. It is a non-negotiable conversation. So, if folks want to tap themselves out, take them off the field. I mean, while we're here, like at, pretty much, we're kind of like at the, midway through the fourth quarter here. We're getting close to the end zone, and you want to start taking yourself off the field, like really? So yeah. But I can't. I'm sorry about that, Ms. Ross. I can't tell you anything about Jehovah's Witnesses. So I mean, I just won't be opening my door for them. So, so I'll be like, maybe I will. And be like, did you vote? Okay. Sorry, bye. Get out of here. Anyway, let me take a break, and then when we come back on the other side, we're supposed to go to our reality check roundtable. We've got roundtablist David Seaton, and also who's going to be joining us for our roundtable, and Danielle Moody too. Both our roundtablists are looking forward to kind of getting their sense of what they're feeling, what their instinct tells them for Tuesday night and the rest of this week as far as election 2020. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be heading into our reality check roundtable, capturing what's happening in national politics today. David Seaton, Danielle Moody coming up next here on Reality Check 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in a small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location, and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Hello?
Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in.
Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you probably right about that.
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
Tune into WURD Radio Tuesday, November the 3rd for an Election Day special. You'll get information about polling issues. You'll hear from candidates and some elected officials, as well as lively discussions. That's Tuesday, November the 3rd from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Only on WURD Radio 900 AM and 96.1 FM. This program is being brought to you by the Labor's District Council Tax Fund.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
All right. Good morning to you, Shirley Carter, Malcolm White. We see you in Westmount area. Also, good morning. Back at you, Tanya Bryant. Yes, we're exhaling right along with you, Michelle Tulloch-Neal. Appreciate you, Nasir Butler. Good morning. Good morning. Rosalind Allen. Good morning. Tanya Bryan. Good morning. Back at you again too. Also, Junior Lee Casa Husara. Yeah, I'm rising and shining. So we'll get to some of your comments there on our Facebook live stream. There on WURD TV. Many of you watching us on WURD TV and watching me now right along with our very own David Seaton. David Seaton with our partner station up in Chicago, Illinois, in Chi-Town, WVON of the Buchanan and Seaton show. David, how are you doing, sir? Can you see and hear us?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. No, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate this. David joining us by Skype. So you might be beginning to watch us on WURD TV. We should be there in just a moment at facebook.com/4word. Also, Danielle Moody. Danielle, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing? All right. Danielle Moody joining us of the Woke AF podcast. Go to @D2Cents, DEE, the word 2, spell out 2 cents on Twitter. She's highly engaged there. Check out her Woke AF podcast. Highly skilled strategist and commentator, and she joins us regularly here on our Reality Check Roundtable along with David Seaton. Daniel, I'm going to start with you. What's your gut telling you about Tuesday, really for the rest of this week? Because this is not election day. This is going to be election week, and we really should prepare for a long haul. We should try to exercise the patience of Job here, or the patience of Danielle, perhaps. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I have very little patience. I feel like we have been waiting for this moment for 4 years.
Right.
You know, my gut is telling me just to, stay focused and grounded and, hopeful in the fact that 93 million Americans have already cast their vote. And I want to believe the polls, but I can't allow myself to, because the only polls that I am believing in right now are the ones that people are voting at. Because the polls, they were wrong, terribly, terribly wrong in 2016. So while this race seems like it has been steady, and the numbers really haven't waffled that far away from Joe Biden, I just, this president, this administration, I just don't trust them. So people just need to stay focused, keep voting, and if you pray, do that as well.
Yeah, do a lot of praying, right? So real quick, Danielle, so there are all sorts of things that could happen between now and, the end of election night. There are a lot of things that could happen throughout this week. There are things that could happen like right on election day, right on election night. What out of those potential events, potential calamities too, there are a lot of worries about election violence. What worries you the most about what might happen, what might occur this week?
I mean, honestly, it's the violence. Just in the past couple of months, we've watched armed vigilante shoot and kill protesters in Wisconsin. We've watched folks drive cars into protesters, killing one of them. Like we have seen, I don't think that we recognize just how much violence we've seen in this country just over the past couple of months. So the idea that Donald Trump has told his white supremacist supporters to stand back and stand by, the fact that, you know, we're watching these Trump caravans act as voter suppression tools and try and go and intimidate largely black, you know, neighborhoods. I'm worried. I'm worried about Donald Trump deciding to, you know, literally just like let them off the leash, and you know, and we end up in some type of, you know, Civil War 2.0. I think that all of those things could happen, right? Like we have been seeing this. The fact that Donald Trump right now is hunkered in the White House and is building a fence that is not scalable tells you just how much danger we are in as a nation with him in charge.
Yeah, no, it really does. I think I think media has downplayed the significance of a lot of this extremist violence. I think they have. You know, they're trying to make it seem like it's not as bad as it seems, or as it could get. So I definitely agree with you on that, Danielle. David, so you know, I want to get a temperature check from you. Danielle's in New York, you're up there in the Midwest, in Illinois. Illinois is not, neither one of those states, New York or Illinois, are not a battleground state, but, you know, we love bringing you on because you both have your pulse on what's happening nationally, what's also happening in your respective communities. How are you feeling, man? What's your gut telling you about what might transpire tomorrow night?
You know, I'm looked at all the data, and I feel good about it. The biggest thing, the biggest mistake we keep making when we compare 2020 to 2016 is we forget that on this day in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up 44, Donald Trump was at 40. So you only had 84% represented by them 2 days before the election or a day before the election. We've got right now Joe Biden up 10% nationally. We don't have any third parties like Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. The early vote, about almost 70% of people have voted early. Florida, 88% of the people who voted, have voted early compared to 2016. Georgia, 94%. North Carolina, 91%. In Texas, over 107% of the people who have voted early, 107% of those people represent the people who voted in 2016. And what we know on our side is that when more people vote, it usually portends good things for the Democratic side. So I'm heartened by what we're seeing in the data right now. White suburban women, they're voting for Biden by 30%. White college degree whites are voting for Joe Biden by 15%. And seniors, 65 and up, are supporting Joe Biden by 23%. So all the data looks good right now.
Yeah, but when we look at that data, so we don't know exactly. We haven't really counted those ballots yet. We don't know who they'll turn out for. We have like a huge surge of young people who are participating right now, but there's no guarantee. I mean, particularly when we're having these conversations about the black male vote, about the black vote, particularly in states like Pennsylvania, and there are worries, there are concerns, and I'm going to get back to you on that too, Danielle. There are worries, concerns there that the black vote may not be performing as well as anticipated as folks have desired here in 2020, particularly for Biden. People worry about the number of black voters who could go for Trump, particularly black male voters. We're having that conversation again. And when we look at in-person votes, when we look at the in-person vote count nationwide in the early votes so far, I mean, Republicans are ahead by about 6 percentage points in terms of in-person votes, while Democrats are ahead in terms of returned mail ballots. Just the return rate just slightly ahead, but Republicans have been closing the gap. So should we still maintain that much confidence, David, that just because it's high early voting, that necessarily translates into more votes for Biden?
Well, we're going to have to worry about the same things that we worry about every election. We're going to have to worry about voter suppression. Donald Trump has already said that he plans on unleashing his voters, as soon as tonight, to get into some of these battleground states. But I do like the enthusiasm that we see on our side. Again, the in-person election day votes, they're supposed to go towards Trump by 30%. But, Donald Trump, at the end of the day, his ceiling and his approval are at about 45%. And with no significant third-party challenges like we had in 2016, as long as the polls could be off by as much as 1 or 2%, and still be within the margin of error, and we still have a Biden win, because again, Trump's ceiling is 45%. Now, I will share an anecdote that I was driving around. My wife and I were driving around in suburban Illinois yesterday, and we bumped into a Trump caravan of about 200 cars that were just driving around the western suburbs of Chicago. That was the last thing I expected to see in Illinois. So Donald Trump has done a good job on energizing his side. They are loud, they are enthusiastic, but I think the numbers are on our side.
Yeah. Go ahead, Danielle. Speak to that too. As far as that enthusiasm, there are concerns. I mean, I was saying that too. I was looking at the YouGov poll, which are showing, that the number of Trump voters, 2020 Trump voters, or voters who anticipate voting for Trump, who are voting in person, far outstrips the number of Biden voters who are voting in person. So do we worry about that, that election day voter surge? And how worried should we be about the black vote? Like, how should we have that conversation about the black vote? Because that's a very testy discussion, particularly when we look at places like Philly, when we look at Georgia. We're going to be looking at Georgia. Obviously, Georgia, Stacey Abrams has been doing we need Stacey Abrams in Pennsylvania, really. We need a Stacey Abrams in Pennsylvania, Philly, it seems like. But what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that we don't have to worry about the black vote. Black people do what they're supposed to do all the time, right? And what troubles me, obviously, are the black men that have come out and support Donald Trump because they're wealthy or because they just have deep, issues, which I don't understand, frankly. But the reality is that, if you've looked at the line, if you see where people have been waiting in line, if you see the hours that they have put in to have their voices heard, like I believe that David is right. I think that the numbers are on our side, but, we also have to realize that we're dealing with criminals. The only thing that is keeping Donald Trump out of prison is the White House, right? Yeah. And so when you have an entire administration that is desperate, right? Like, there's no telling what they will do, right? So it's not that I don't believe that the people are done and tired of Donald Trump and are looking to fire him come tomorrow, but it's what will the Republican Party do? What will his SCOTUS, his Supreme Court do? That's why we keep saying that we need this turnout needs to be historic, because you can't suppress hundreds of millions of people, right? Like, that's the point. But the reality is that, like, we just need to have eyes wide open. They are already talking about, deploying lawyers in battleground states, and we haven't counted any ballots yet. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, they have been setting this up for 4 years, right, to go to the courts, to make this some type of repeat of 2000. So people just need to continue to show up, continue to stand in line, continue to have, like, their voices heard, because we are up against people that literally are going to shoot every shot that they have, right? And we have to be ready for that.
We're talking with Danielle Moody. Danielle Moody, our regular roundtables here on WURD, also host of the Woke AF podcast, joining us here on Reality Check's Roundtable, and also David Seaton joining us for the Reality Check regular roundtables, regular contributor here on Reality Check WURD. We are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll still be talking with them, continuing this conversation on election 2020. This is our special election coverage all week here on WURD. Reality Check WURD, the flagship. We've got special election coverage all throughout the week. So let's take a break, and then we'll be right back with Danielle Moody and David Seaton here on the home of Black Talk Media, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm former Mayor John Street.
And I'm Mayor Street's son, Senator Sharif Street.
I've been out here fighting for what's right for a long, long time, but I can't think of an election more important than the one that's happening right now.
We all know we have to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. but we also have a couple of hometown heroes that we need to elect.
Nina Ahmad served as the City of Philadelphia Deputy Mayor, and it would be a welcome change to have a strong woman of color go to Harrisburg to fight for all of us.
We also have working class hero John Kane running for state senate. He's a blue-collar guy ready to fight for better paying jobs and accessible health care. I'd love to have John Kane join me in the state senate.
This election is just too important, so when you go out, vote for Joe and Kamala.
Don't forget to vote for Nina Ahmad for Auditor General and John Kane for State Senator.
This message is paid for by the Friends of Sharif Street.
Take just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
We've all heard people say this election is the most important of our lifetime. Let's remember why that's true. Under the Trump presidency, racism has found a tragic new normal, emboldened by a president who has demonstrated disrespect and disregard for our communities while embracing and protecting white supremacists. While the coronavirus was taking our family members from us, Donald Trump deceived the nation by withholding information that could have saved lives. He protected himself instead of protecting us. Our economy is in shambles, our children's education jeopardized, and the Trump administration is in court right now trying to take away our health care. This has to end. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need to chart a path toward opportunity, justice, and healing. From affordable health care to quality education and jobs, there's only one choice to move us forward. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Priorities USA Action, blackpac.com and prioritiesUSAAction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hello, my name is Hassan Bennett. I did 13 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Over-policing in our community has led to over 100 casualties like mine. It's time we, the people, take control of our future. And we do this on November 3rd by voting to make communities safer and the system fairer.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDRadio.com.
All right, everyone, don't forget Nick Taliaferro is back with us here at WURD. He's got a new show in the evening, Evening Words, and I thought he bought a bit of chill back with him, so he's giving you a free hoodie when you become a WURD member and use the code WELCOME BACK at checkout. So if you're a WURD, first of all, you want to become a 4WURD or 4WURD WURD member, and then you can go purchase a brand new WURD hoodie and use the code WELCOME BACK at checkout. That's right, become a member today and you'll receive a free WURD hoodie. Get a free WURD hoodie just by saying welcome back at checkout. That hoodie is actually worth $40, and it's a very nice hoodie. I've got a couple of them myself. Don't wait, the deal goes away November 2nd. Go to WURDradio.com, join now to join or renew today. November 2nd is today, so if you want to get that free hoodie, you want to get it now. tell Nick that I sent you. So you're welcome, Nick. you welcome everyone else too for all those free hoodies you might get. So once again, put welcome back at checkout. I know David and Danielle are like, word? Give me I get a free word hoodie. So yeah, definitely. We appreciate that, and it's real good to have Nick T back as well here on WURD. So David, real quick, those states that you're looking at, I see about 8 or 9 states in competition right now. I don't, because you like to break down numbers, and so what are those states you're looking at as far as like real crucial for you down to the wire as far as the presidential race? Also states that you're looking at as far as those Senate races too, because we talk about the presidential race, but the Senate's up for grabs.
Definitely. I wrote about that on Seat and Speaks. The way the numbers are looking right now, we're looking at probably a 52-48 Democratic-leaning Senate after this is all over. Susan Collins is going to be gone in Maine.
Yeah.
The Democratic candidate who's going to win in both Arizona and Colorado. It's going to be. It's looking really good for those 2 elections in Georgia. Again, it's an outside chance, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if we see Lindsey Graham lose his seat. I mean, that seat is tied right now. You look at some of those numbers, but I think the sleeper that's going to be the surprise tonight is the state of Texas.
Okay.
Like I said, we have over 107% of the people who voted in 2016 who have voted early in Texas. You had a huge number of young people voting in Texas. That number is up over 100%. And the new voters who are coming in who didn't vote in last election, they are going for Biden, 58% to 37% for Trump. I think the sleeper tonight or this week might be Biden winning Texas, and if the Democrats get Texas, that's Texas is the Republicans' California. That'll be a significant political realignment, and we've got the Texas House that's going to be their internal House is going to be voted on. That's going to put Democrats in charge of districting in Texas after the census. So we're looking at a huge political realignment based on everything that's going to happen tonight, and it really looks good for our side.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that too. Texas, I know a lot of legwork's been done down there, right, Danielle? I'm really excited about South Carolina. I'm really hoping Jamie Harrison can pull that off, and I get a feeling, my gut's telling me, and I'm talking to some folks and family down in South Carolina, they're kind of getting that feeling too. I'm watching those 2 Senate seats in Georgia with John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock. Reverend Warnock came from out of nowhere. I'm like, when I first saw him jump onto the scene, I'm like, nah, no, that's not going to work. But it's happening. Reverend Warnock, Mike Espy in Mississippi. I know nobody's talking about him. He's just 8 points behind. Just to be 8 points behind the incumbent, not 10 points, 8 points behind Cindy Hyde. I think there's something that's going to happen there in Mississippi. I don't know. I'm just saying, and maybe it's not so bad for Doug Jones either down in Alabama. People have underestimated black voters in those deep South red states before. That happened with Alabama in 2017, and look what happened. So I don't know, Danielle, what's your take on that?
I think that one of the things that I am excited about over the past couple of months is the fact that Democrats are finally making up ground in red states that we have generally just, ignored. We didn't make any investment in Alabama. Doug Jones is there because of black women, right? And the reality is that Democrats have just consistently ceded the South and ceded, the middle of the country to Republicans and have never put in any effort or work there. So I think that, we're going to see some very exciting things. The fact that Texas is even in play, the fact that Texas went from red to a toss-up is incredible, right? Yeah. And so I think that what we're going to see tomorrow and, God willing, for the rest of this week is a different map. One that I think is going to, I pray, will shock Republicans. I think that we are going to see a different map, and we are going to see Democrats invest differently from this point on into areas that they have long ceded to Republicans, where people are tired, right? They're tired, and they're tired of this party. They're tired of this president. But David is right. There are so many Black folks, right, that we have just ignored in these places, right? So I think that we're going to see a sea change.
Yeah, you know what? I do feel you on that, Danielle. I feel like there is something there. Particularly when we have these astonishing early voting numbers. People are exhausted. Black voters are definitely exhausted. A lot of white voters out there too are exhausted. A lot of white people are exhausted and frankly scared. Don't like instability. You know, white voters can be crazy, but they're not totally stupid. So they don't like, when you have this kind of like unpredictable chaos and people driving people off the road and showing up at places with guns and shooting people in cold blood during protests. That kind of stuff scares them when it gets unstable like that. So I think there's a bit of that there that's happening. And so that's why you're seeing this shift as far as white voters are concerned. Danielle, what's that closing argument got to be from Biden, however, from the Biden camp? We know that I mean, and I'm not just saying this, I'm not saying this in any partisan way. Yes, I am very anti-Trump. I'm unapologetic about that. I just feel like, and it's not a partisan thing either. It's just that we got to save the world tomorrow, this week. Got to save the world. Like, this is literally about the fate of the world here on a number of issues, not just about racial justice. I mean, even when you look at just what's at stake in terms of the planet, like when we look at climate crisis, for example, and the inaction, the deliberate inaction from this administration, that's another conversation. But so I know Trump does not have a closing argument in 2020, none at all. He might have had one, make America great again in 2016, nothing like that in 2020. But what should Biden's closing argument be?
It has to be about trust, about competency, and the fact that we need to restore dignity to this country. Like we are shameful, right? Like what has happened here over the past 4 years, just to think we are shameful. And so I think that Biden's closing argument needs to be about bringing decency back to this country, having a leader that you can trust, right? That being able, Barack Obama said it a couple of weeks ago, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to have dinner with your family, right? And like not worry that you're being tweeted into World War III, like to be able to take a deep breath. I think that that's what Biden needs to say. Like, we need a restart, right? This country has been literally driven into the ditch, and it's time that we pull ourselves out.
Yeah, Dave, this is a good question from, we have one of our listeners, Junior Lee. He's always asking some smart questions. And he's asking specifically about Chicago, Illinois, but I think this applies nationally. He was asking you, David, who do you see as the major political leader for a black agenda in Chicago or Illinois? So, but I think that kind of, you can sort of transform that question as something that we can talk about nationally, like if Biden gets elected or if Trump gets or steals re-election. Because it's not about whether or not he wins, it's just how well he cheats on this. What is that? What is that black agenda? I'm starting to have that conversation. Like that's a big question mark still. That's very open right now. I'll start with you, David, and then we'll go to Danielle on that, because I think it's an important one.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because if you go and you look at the Trump their platinum plan, for example, and you look at
the platinum car wash plan, right?
Platinum plan. Right. They have to brand it the platinum plan, because they think black people are gonna say, "Ooh, it's platinum. That's better."
Like, I can go get my car wash there, right? I can get a free car wash, right? Okay.
but when you look at the platinum plan on the Bush website, under housing, it says champion the efforts to help increase black ownership. That's it. It's like 9 words.
Yeah.
If you go to the Joe Biden website and you look at just the initiatives he has for housing, it's 2 pages long. It's talking about allocating funds. It's talking about dismantling, discrimination. It's talking about holding lenders accountable, holding realtors accountable, allocating, a $15,000 tax grant that you can write up on your taxes that you can use for a down payment. It's an extremely robust plan that deals specifically with the African American condition. And we've got to get away from, I wrote about this, and I know you shared it on B-Note, and I wrote it on my blog. We've got to get away from this. Donald Trump has purposely been manipulating black men based on this lie about what Joe Biden did in 1994 or did 30 years ago, and none of us are who we were 30 years ago. We need to grow up and deal with the danger right now, and the biggest danger to the United States, to the planet, is Donald Trump. We have to remember, and the last thing I'll say about that is, we have to remember that there is a third-party candidate on the ballot this year. It's COVID-19. We are at 100,000 cases per day. We are at the highest spike since this epidemic hit the United States. If that doesn't focus you on the failures of this president, nothing will.
Yeah. Go ahead, Danielle. Like, as far as what that black agenda looks like, and David's right. I mean, it's just the Biden plan, as far as black people are concerned, may not be perfect, but it's definitely robust. There's a lot there.
I mean, the fact is, Donald Trump doesn't have a plan, not for black people, not for any people, right?
Not for anyone.
This is the first time. Remember that the RNC didn't even bother putting out a platform. That's how little regard they have for the American voters, right?
Exactly.
So, I don't even want to part and parcel out what Joe Biden has presented, hasn't presented, because let me tell you, even if he had 2 bullet points, it would still be 2 more than what Donald Trump has offered to black people and what Donald Trump has offered to the American public. So, at the end of the day, David is absolutely correct. Donald Trump is a national security threat. Donald Trump is a world threat. Like, we have 9 million people are infected with COVID-19. We are having the biggest wave that we have seen yet, right? With 100,000 people becoming infected a day. Like, what are we talking about, right? Like, these people are actively trying to kill us, right? So, like, that's what we need to be focused on. That's what we need to be thinking about. I am up for debate and how far we can push Joe Biden to be progressive and all those plans and everything like that come January. Until then, I don't want to hear anybody talk to me about anybody else's plans except the plan to get that man out of the White House. That's
right. Yeah, that's what we got to focus on. I'm going to let you both go. That was Danielle Moody. She gets the last word, host of Woke AF and regular contributor here on our Reality Check Roundtable. So it's the roundtable now. So because I had to give back pressing matters to my good friend Nick T. Nick T was here before me. He predated me and had pressing matters. So we got the Reality Check Roundtable. Danielle Moody always joining us, and along with David Seaton on Chicago's WVON, the Buchanan and Seaton Show. Always good to have you both on. Always giving us smart insights. So looking forward to talking with you. Maybe David, I know I got you joining me tomorrow night. Danielle, we'll see what your schedule is like too, and we're supposed to be reaching out to you as well, see what's going on for tomorrow night. But we'll definitely be in touch throughout this week. So definitely, both of you, take care. Be safe out there, please.
You too. Be well.
Right. Take care. Be well. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back on the other side, continue to talk about election 2020, and we're going to have Jennifer Clark, Executive Director of the Public Interest Law Center. They're going to talk about some of these major court cases around election procedures, especially in places like Pennsylvania. There's a lot of legal back and forth. The election lawyers are busy. That's one big front line here in election 2020. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Jennifer Clark with the Public Interest Law Center on the home of Black Talk Media, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Esteban Vera. I'm a proud union member and business manager of Labor's Local 57 in Philadelphia. I'd first like to thank every essential worker, union member that's working in the front lines day in and day out to keep us all Americans safe. Thank you so much. Now more than ever, it's so important that we get out to vote and make sure that we're registered to vote, that we get candidates in office that care about all Americans, not just corporations. We cannot let the last 4 years repeat itself. Our country cannot take no more. Our people cannot take no more. I beg everyone and plead to please get out to register to vote. Our lives, our children's lives, and our economy depends on it.
Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on WURD, WURD.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
New Voices for Reproductive Justice is registering Black women and their families in Philly to vote. The general election is on November 3rd. You can register to vote online at rock.vote/New Voices. That's rock.vote/New Voices. The deadline to register is October 19th. If you need assistance registering to vote, visit newvoicesrj.org.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Hey, Mama, you calling me for a change? You and Daddy all right?
We're fine. Can't your mama call and check on her babies and get a little advice?
You know you can. What do you need help with?
Well, despite COVID-19, you know I'm not letting anything stop your father and I from voting this year. But we're here in Pennsylvania. Should we go to our precinct as usual? What's the best way?
You mean I get to be Mama for a minute? All you have to do is go to aarp.org/election 2020.
That's my favorite site, and they have a lot of information about the pandemic.
You only text me the website 3 times, but they have all the reliable, up-to-date voting information for voters 50 plus in every state. Want me to text it to you?
Girl, I know. It's aarp.org/election 2020.
Well, me being your mama didn't last long.
That's 'cause I'll always be your mama.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. Keeping you informed about Tuesday's election. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio, independent Black media. Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
All right, welcome back to Reality Check. It's the home of Black Talk Media in Philly, Pennsylvania, and beyond the Delaware Valley, beyond southeastern PA, throughout the world, throughout the nation, throughout the world. We are first in Philly proper, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. But if you'd like to stream us and listen to us live beyond the Delaware Valley region, throughout the nation, throughout the world, we are at WURDradio.com. We're also on WURD TV, as many of you know, at our Facebook live stream. Go to facebook.com/forward, facebook.com/forward, youtube.com/onWURD as well. I'm at Ellison Report, by the way, on twitter.com, #WordOnPolitics. That is the activation code for the week. #WordOnPolitics That's where we'll have much social media discourse and conversation and analysis all week long. We've been doing that anyway, pretty much. We've been fairly consistent about it over the stretch of these, especially these final few months, as we've been in the home stretch of election 2020. So continue to go to hashtag Word on Politics. Join us there, primarily on Twitter. I'll try to do a little bit on Instagram as well, and hope to see you there too, and Facebook. Found a way to get into Facebook and kind of provide some conversations, provide some information and intelligence for you there as well, even though I'm not personally on Facebook, so I kind of tend to stay away from it. But we are at facebook.com/4word. Joining us now is Jennifer Clark, who is Executive Director of the Public Interest Law Center. For more information on the Public Interest Law Center, you want to go to pubintlaw.org, also at pubintlaw CTR, that's Pub INT Law Center on social media, on Twitter. And joining us now, they focus on issues dealing with civil, social rights, and now voting rights here in the Philadelphia region. And Jennifer joining us by phone here on Reality Check. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? I mean, I'm good, as good as anybody else is.
Good, is that right? We're all hanging in there, right? Just kind of getting a burst of energy and got the wind behind your sails, right? We all do. It's real windy in the region today.
So push us through.
Yeah. Hopefully, I hope it pushes through. Got a little wind, got a little sun up there too, and it's always sunny in Philly, as they say. But a lot of major court cases, court battles that are going on. You all are involved in those court cases around election procedures. Talk about those cases, identify some of those cases we need to pay attention to, and things that we need to be worried about as far as people's right to access the voting franchise, especially with All Eyes on Pennsylvania.
Right. So a lot's already been settled, which is really good. So we're allowed to use those drop boxes. There's not allowed to be a signature match during the time that they count mail-in ballots. So that's all good. The thing that we have to worry about still is the U.S. Supreme Court has sitting there a challenge to the delay in the ballot receipt. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said that if your ballot is mailed by Election Day and received 3 days later, it will count. But no one should count on that, because that's the case that the U.S. Supreme Court is sitting on and could decide after the fact. So no one should be mailing their ballots now, because we just don't know if your ballot gets there late. We don't know whether it's going to get counted or not.
Yeah. That's do you think that message is getting through? Because I noticed you all are not the only ones that are saying that. I've noticed, for the most part, everyone who's fighting to ensure that every ballot is counted, everybody's shifted and pivoted real quick. I mean, are you impressed by that? Are you confident that word is getting out to the general public that, hey, listen, do not mail your ballot, and I'm going to say it too as I ask the question, do not drop your ballot, your mail-in ballot, in a U.S. Postal Service mailbox right now. Like, don't do it. Like, just go to especially if you're in Philly, you got plenty of ballot boxes, places where you can drop off, and if you need to drive there, ask a friend or take something or something, or get there, just put it in one of those ballot boxes, right? Do you feel like the word is getting out there?
I feel like it is, but I think we got to keep saying it. Do not mail your ballot now. Do not do it. Those drop boxes are all over the city, and you can find where they are located at votepa.com.
Yeah.
So that's the
go
other
ahead,
thing we got
Jennifer.
to worry about is naked ballots. So we can talk about naked ballots if you want at some point here.
Yeah, please. No, naked ballots. So, yeah, describe that. Talk about what that means for listeners.
Yeah. So when you get, if you're going to vote by mail, what you get is your ballot, and then there's two envelopes. There's a white envelope, and then there's another envelope that has a place for your signature. You have to use both envelopes. You have to take your ballot, put it in the white envelope, seal that up, and then put that in the bigger envelope. And if you don't use that white envelope, they won't count it. And that's been another court decision. That was bad for voters, that if you forget to use that white envelope, they won't count it. So people need to use that white envelope.
Yeah, yeah. Do you yeah, people just really have to. I mean, some of it too is just on us all, sort of personally. Like, just pay really close attention to the ballot instructions when you've received it. People should have, and we've been told, like, nationally, about 32 million ballots still haven't been submitted yet. People haven't returned. There's 32 million Americans nationwide who have just mail ballots sitting there, and as this major elections that's taking place, that's another conversation. But I don't want to be too hard on people because we still have some time. I mean, are those instructions user-friendly enough? I mean, because that's your worry, that maybe, like, that's part of the worry, that those instructions haven't been user-friendly enough, that because I find, like, mail-in ballots, even for me, I have to just stop everything. I have to clear the table and just make sure I've got everything right. It can be very complex if you're rushing or you're not paying attention. Also, there are people out there who, especially in a city like Philly, where you got a quarter of the adult population is functionally illiterate, and so I worry about that. I don't know how much you worry about it, Jennifer.
I worry about it a lot. In fact, I sat down with my husband and we checked each other. So I think that everyone, I don't care if you can read or you can't read, everybody should get another person to sit with them and make sure that you're doing it exactly right. It shouldn't be like that. I mean, it shouldn't be so hard. But right now we have a state legislature and a federal government that want to make it harder. So everybody should get a friend or someone, whoever you are, get a friend or someone, if you haven't already filled out the ballot, and have them help you do it. That's what I did. I actually just did mine this morning with my husband. So.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The other thing too is how confident are we, Jennifer, about how election officials, like whether it's in a city like Philly with the city commissioner's office, or county officials and surrounding counties, how confident are we that they've been scaling up to address these issues? Do you still have problems there, or do you still have, like, certain issues here and there, or challenges, things that you are concerned about, as far as also, like, ballot counting? I keep getting that question from a lot of people about, okay, well, we might have some insights into how the ballots are being accepted when we return them, how they're being processed. And I know in Philly, for example, we got this big warehouse and it's guarded and the process. But what happens during the ballot counting phase? Can we trust that process? But I keep getting this question a lot, and I want to get your insights on it. Can we trust the people counting the ballots, right? Like, I mean, because I frankly, I do get this conversation or this question quite a bit, whether it's from listeners or it's from people like family and friends and colleagues, or people who know what I do, and they're like, you know what, I see these news reports and I'm seeing, like, people who fit the profile of Trump voters counting ballots, and I'm just saying, I get that question, and I'm like, can we trust these people counting the ballots?
I say yes. I say we do, because these are the people, these are our frontline workers. These are the people that are there. Just think about what they're doing. They have to sit there starting first thing tomorrow morning and count those ballots. They know how important this is. They know how important this is. They have been working 24/7. I'm also a poll worker, so I know we've been talking to these folks. These are the people that just need us cheering for them, praying for them, whatever we do. That process we trust. Our state legislature has made it really hard. In a lot of states, they're allowed to start counting the mail-in ballots ahead of time. But our state legislature has refused to do that. So these guys can't start until tomorrow morning, even though there's millions of ballots. So they're there. I just want them to get a good night's sleep and get in there and work as hard and fast as they can. But they need our help and our support.
Yeah, you feel that that's a fairly good call to wait on, because it's just kind of clarify here. So ballots coming in, people are expecting a lot of ballots even on election day. A lot of people either returning their ballots last minute, or people just wanting to stick with tradition. They love, particularly when, the older the voter, they like to go into the polling place. And I understand that, I get that. And, they just want to see that process unfold and see their ballot process right in front of them, right in front of their eyes. Because the mail-in situation is something just very new for them. But that option is on the table. Is that so clarification here? So that, just all those ballots are collected. We're not going to know, as far as Pennsylvania is concerned, we're just not going to know till Wednesday. Like, they're just going to take their time, count all those ballots. We might not find out till Wednesday or Thursday exactly how Pennsylvania turned out, or the amount of ballots counted and the type of lead that either candidate has. Nothing confident there to call by, say, a media outlet like Associated Press until Wednesday or Thursday. Is that kind of the gist of what's going to be happening?
Yep, we're not going to know. Just you think about this: millions of ballots. These poor people stuck in the warehouse can't start until tomorrow morning, no matter how fast and how efficient and whoever they are. We're just not going to know until Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. We'll of course know right away if people decide to vote in person. We'll know what that is, but that may or may not be the result that after we count all the ballots. Can I just say one more thing about voting in person? Mm-hmm. So some people might change their minds. When they think about all this, they might say, I got my mail-in ballot, but I actually really want to vote in person. If somebody wants to do that, they need to take their mail-in ballot to the polling place, because if they don't, they won't get to vote on the machine. So if somebody changes your mind, you change your mind, you got that mail-in ballot, but you really would rather, now you think, geez, thinking about this, I'd rather go to my polling place, take that mail-in ballot with you, because you have to turn it in order to be able to vote on the machine.
Right. They have to take that mail-in ballot, right? And I guess the process there is, I want to be very careful about my word choice here. They have to discard that paper mail ballot, so you can sign up and then do that's not to say they're not getting rid of your ballot when they do that. So people need to understand and just be calm that no, that does not mean that your ballot's not getting counted. It just means that you're transitioning away from the mail ballot to the actual in-person on-site ballot or voting.
You're trading your mail ballot for a ballot, a vote on the machine. So you're surrendering that mail ballot so you get to go vote on the machine.
Exactly. Some months ago, I think we had, at one point, we had someone on, or maybe I myself used the word destroy the first time I said, they have to destroy the mail-in ballot. People were like, wait a second, what do you mean by destroy the mail-in ballot? Like, I don't want my ballot destroyed. So I realized that you got to be real careful with the word choice here and make sure people understand what's going on. Everything that's going on, Jennifer, all this legal maneuvering, I mean, how are people, and then you've got the state legislature, you've got state Republicans, constantly filing lawsuits. You got the Trump campaign, Republicans, national Republicans, everybody's filing lawsuits. And I mean, that just creates a whole lot of confusion, though. That in and of itself, I mean, even if these lawsuits don't work, just the constant news headlines of some last minute 11th hour lawsuit being filed and the potential of things being gummed up, just the potential, right? I mean, that in and of itself, that's a form of suppression, right?
I think so. And that's why I think it's so important that if we think about this, it's really clear. We just ignore all the lawsuits. We ignore all the attempts to make us confused. We have people, right now we have really two options. One is to go in person, or one is to fill out your mail-in ballot and put it in a drop box. Those are the options, and those options won't go away. The one thing we shouldn't do is put your mail-in ballot in the mail, in a blue post box. So I agree with you. I think that all these lawsuits and the word confusion, that's confusing. It's not. We have to tell ourselves it's not confusing. It's actually not. And kind of put our heads down and get our votes in, because the rules are clear that you can put it in a drop box or you can go vote in person. That's clear.
Jennifer, I'm real curious too, when we get on the other side of this, electoral apocalypse, what does that voting rights election process landscape look like to you? I mean, is it for the better or is it for the worse?
So there's a couple things that are for the better. Don't forget, until last October, we didn't have the option of mail-in ballots. So you had to go stand in line. Mm-hmm. And so if you think about that, the fact that here we have mail-in ballots, you can vote today, you can vote last week, you can by mail and put in your ballot in a box. So I think that Pennsylvania has come from, 100 years ago to the 21st century just in the last year. So I think that part is really good. I think that when we see these lawsuits and when we see that the U.S. Supreme Court is apparently willing to meddle in our elections, I think there's a lot of work we have to do to clarify who is responsible for what. So the real issue at the U.S. Supreme Court is whether it's the state legislature that gets to decide, whether a state court can decide, whether the U.S. Supreme Court can decide. So that's a lot of work we have to do later, after the election, to really look at and firm up the rules that we have about who gets to decide what.
Yeah.
But for right now, again, it's very clear that we can vote in person or put a mail ballot in a drop box.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that too. I think you're very much right, Jennifer, and I'm looking forward to talking with you and your colleagues of the Public Interest Law Center as we, kind of go into that second phase. Hopefully there's a promising outcome this week. Hopefully we get it on Tuesday night. We just don't know, but we have to be patient. But we know that you all are kind of working behind the scenes, and I'm praying actually that it doesn't get too busy for you, that you don't have to go that extra mile. I know you all are waiting, kind of on standby to see what briefs you need to file if these things get heated, they get tight, and they go all the way to the Supreme Court. So let's hope it doesn't get to that point, but I know you're on the ready. So definitely good luck to you, and thank you for that work. Jennifer Clark is the Executive Director of the Public Interest Law Center. For more on them, you want to go to @PubINT Law Center or @PubINT Law CTR. pubintlaw.org. Jennifer Clark, the Executive Director, joining us here on Reality Check. Jennifer, thanks so much for your time and thanks for this work.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. So I finally, so I normally, it is tradition, everyone, that, for me, particularly kind of the sort of household I come from, and really voting, civic participation was one of those like key tenets in the household, the Philadelphia household, the North Philadelphia household that I grew up in, and since I can remember, since I was like the earliest days I can remember, 4 or 5 years old, my grandmother take me to the polls and letting me mess around with the voting levers and telling me what to pull. And then as I got older and she saw me getting an interest in politics and kind of reading up on the headlines, she's like, okay, I'll let you pick. You go ahead. Who do you think I should vote for, while we were behind the curtain? So I do miss going in person, because and my wife and I were about to go, with our 15-year-old and by our grown girls. They're in different states now, so they're kind of doing it in different spaces, so we can't all be together. We were initially going to go in, but just put it in the drop box. Filled out our ballots and put it in the drop box, and felt so good. I mean, it just felt so good to have that option, and we still made a family thing out of it. If you have a mail-in ballot, do not go to the post office. Do not do that today. I mean, it's done. You should have did that like weeks ago. If you were going to drop it in the regular post office. If you're in Philly, go to philadelphiavotes.com, find out where those drop box locations are. Go to philadelphiavotes.com for more information. I think you can go to, if you're in the WURD Southeastern PA listening area, you want to go to votespa.com to get more information on finding out which your county election office, who that is, and contacting them and finding out where those drop box locations are. They are secure locations. They're secure. No one's going to break into them. They are also, I'm noticing, like, in a lot of places, and I'm hearing this from multiple states, occasionally like police and law enforcement are also watching those boxes, so they're being closely watched and guarded. That's a good thing. It's just very convenient. So we just decided to just go ahead and do it that way, because I didn't want to get, I don't want to go to the poll, because it seems like so many of you out there have not voted yet and looked like you want to do it at the last minute, and so I didn't want to be stuck in line, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I gotta get to the broadcast, but I'm stuck in line trying to vote early in the morning because millions of other people are there. But anyway, let me break. We're a little bit over time. Let's take a break, and when we come back on the other side, we're headed into a cap corner with Thomas Waldrop, who's going to talk about these Trump rallies in multiple states. They've become super spreaders, and they've actually been increasing in a number of counties. We saw this coming, but the COVID-19 infection rates have been increasing in counties where there are Trump rallies. Like after the Trump rally leaves, COVID-19 cases go up. Anyway, Thomas Waldrop is going to talk a little bit about that here on Reality Check, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello. Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in. Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you probably right about that.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Thursday, November 5th, from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at 1312 Willow Street, Norristown, Pennsylvania. And Saturday, November 7th, from 12 noon till 3 p.m. at Victory Christian Fellowship, 5220 Whitby Avenue in Philadelphia. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Hey guys, Tony Staten here, host of the Labor's Live radio show. And I have a question for all of the Labor's District Council union members and WURD listeners. Is your election checklist completed? Well, let's see. Is everyone of age in your household registered to vote? Is your mail-in ballot application completed? Have you confirmed your polling place for in-person voting? And do you know the names of the candidates running for office in your area? Well, if you've answered no to any of these questions, go to votespa.com for more information. And remember, exercise your right to vote. Your livelihood depends on it. Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on WURD, WURD.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Helana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. show up and show out this election, to organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
All right, welcome back to Reality Check here on 96.1 FM, 900 AM in Philly proper, but beyond it's WURDradio.com, WURD TV, and WURD app. We're headed to a Cap Corner. We do these Cap Corners every week here in conjunction with our partner in Washington, D.C., the Center for American Progress. Go to americanprogress.org for more information, some great insights, great research, just to get you caught up on things and to understand what's happening in the world around you, and on issues that you're highly concerned about or issues that you're dealing with. Go to americanprogress.org. Joining us now is Thomas Waldrop. He's a policy analyst for health policy at the Center for American Progress. Also worked on some recent research looking at Trump rallies. His latest brief, which he did in conjunction with Emily Gee, is I think we had Emily on sometime a while back. I think we had a live broadcast from Washington, D.C. at the Center for American Progress headquarters, but I think Emily was on that broadcast. But it's titled, Trump Rallies Are Often Followed by Increases in Local COVID-19 Cases. This might seem trivial, but it's not. It's actually really dangerous. These rallies are dangerous, particularly when you see the vast majority of people who attend them are not wearing their mask, and it's just so reckless what this president is doing as he's campaigning. Going through states like Pennsylvania, too, we've seen significant increases in spikes in COVID-19 infection rates in certain counties in Pennsylvania because of these rallies and the aftermath of these rallies. Tom is here to talk a little bit more about that and describe what's going on. Thomas, how are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well, Charles. How are you?
All right, hanging in there. So let's look at this. So yeah, so we're saying how many cases do we know of so far? Because we don't have a full, complete read on it. I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns out there, right? But how many cases do we know of so far that have shown up, that have popped up in the aftermath of these rallies?
Yeah, you're exactly right. There are a lot of unknowns out there still. In our paper, we found about 26 cases that have been directly linked to the president's rallies that he's doing across the country. And that wasn't us linking them. That was, the local public health officials, these people who do it for a job. That's their finding. And
right.
We work to kind of collate all that. But no, you have it exactly right. There's, the biggest hindrance to figuring out the actual impact of all of these is the reality that contact tracing, following up people who were exposed and who have tested positive and saying like, okay, well, in the past couple of weeks, who have you interacted with? Where did you go? How long did you spend there? That just really doesn't exist across most of the country at this point. And that's, a lot of reasons. There's the lack of capacity from these health departments. They don't have employees available to go and check because, the virus is spreading out of control in a lot of the country right now. And so there's just so many people that you would have to be following up with in the first place. But then you also have issues where people, potentially with good reason, don't want to share that information with public health officials. There's concerns that it'll be used in some sort of nefarious way. But then there's also, concerns of like, I don't want to trust the big government to, with COVID response. And so it all really just makes it really difficult to know the full impact. But yeah, we found, a little over 24 cases directly tied.
Yeah, that's good because you got ahead of me on that question there too, because I think that's the one big question that pops up in my mind is that this is a very, very conservative estimate. Just like more than 24 people. It's probably more. And when you look at the demographic, political, ideological profile of the people who are attending the rallies, these are people who are not wearing masks. These are people who generally believe, like the president, that either one, the pandemic is under control. We've defeated the pandemic. and people actually out there who feel like coronavirus is a hoax. So, you know, even if they're feeling like mild symptoms, or even if they're feeling like, you know, somewhat, you know, maybe semi-severe symptoms, where it's you know, they know they've got something, they're just not going to the hospital. They're not like getting tested. They're not going to the hospital. They're not finding out like, okay, could this be? They're just not worried about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an issue. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and unfortunately, a lot of it is coming from the president.
Yeah.
You know, there was a study a little while back that found that he was one of the broader sources of misinformation surrounding the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go on the record and say it is real. I have several family friends who have contracted it at this point. Luckily, you know, it was all more mild cases.
Yeah.
But can vouch that it is a real thing.
It is.
An unfortunate thing too.
Yeah. No, same here. This is just I mean, of course we knew that this was going to happen, right, Thomas? I mean, you can't like you can't like really even fathom that just you have an actual sitting president just casually spreading a highly infectious disease throughout the country at mass rallies. I mean, it's really kind of unfolding like a low rate, low budget horror flick. You can't. This is just remarkable to see that. I mean, how remarkable is it to you? Before we get into the details, I mean, I'm just like, I knew it was going to happen. Of course, it was going to happen, but I'm just still stunned. It's just, you can't help but get stunned. I mean, I'm sure as you were writing this and looking at the data, it must have been equally stunning or more stunning for you and Emily as you were putting this together.
Yeah, it really just kind of baffles, because, you know, like at this point the science is pretty clear. You know, these large rallies where people aren't, you know, physically distant from each other, very few if anyone is wearing a mask. You know, all of those things. I think we quoted Dr. Fauci in the paper, and I think he really put it best. You know, these events are just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it stretches credibility to say that, like, oh, we didn't know that this would spread the virus, when, you know, maybe that would have been the case in April, but you know, these were things happening over the summer when at that point we knew what was happening. You know, we knew, or at least have a much better idea of how the virus spreads.
Yeah.
And yet they decided that these rallies were more important than protecting their own, you know, political base even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is okay. So what are the counties where you saw like the most significant increases or spikes after these rallies? And I see like a few outliers here, like Yuma County, Arizona. There was a rally on August 18th. The 7-day average went from like 38 cases per day to like just south of 12. But I'm seeing some incredibly troubling spikes in places like Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. We're talking a lot about Pennsylvania and the president, you know, hoping that he can create some kind of electoral firewall in Pennsylvania. But Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, huge spike. Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, huge spike after a rally in Old Forge. Just some other places, Wisconsin too, some massive spike in Marathon County. What are the places that you're most concerned about?
I think you kind of hit on them. A lot of the Midwest is where we saw some of the more pronounced, more pronounced increases. Places like Minnesota, there were all the places you mentioned in Pennsylvania. So the rallies in Middletown, Old Forge, as well as there was the large indoor rally that he held in Nevada.
Yeah.
Those are some of the places where we saw the most unambiguous, you know, clear increases in cases. And you know, I want to, I guess, kind of, it's a tricky point, but one of the things we wanted to clearly differentiate between was, you know, just looking at the day of the rally and then a couple weeks later and our cases higher, because unfortunately over the summer cases were going up pretty much all over the country. So you know, you have to do a little bit more careful looking than just did cases go up. And so what we did was we tried to figure out, not only did cases go up, but were they going up before? Okay, well, if they were going up before, did they go up faster?
Yeah.
Because that's really how you would know. To I guess use a metaphor, it's like, are you stepping on the gas or stepping on the brakes? And unfortunately, what we found is in about half the places that he held a rally across the country, these were pretty much stepping on the gas for the coronavirus car.
Jeez.
And making things worse.
And do you worry about, okay, so, I mean, I wonder about, like, when it spreads, like, who it disproportionately impacts in those counties or in those regions, those metropolitan areas, right? Because it may not, like, it may not, the people who are attending these rallies may have better access to health care than the people that they suddenly get in close proximity to, whether they're at the grocery store, whether they're at a public place. And then so suddenly they're infecting people who don't have the kind of access to health care that's needed to help them deal with or cope with a coronavirus infection.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big concerns, kind of the pandemic as a whole, and especially the, let me do what I want, I'm making my choice, you make your choice response.
Right.
Is, the reality is it's an infectious disease. So, yes, you are, choosing what you're going to do, but your choices you're making have impacts on other people. You're probably still going to the grocery store. You're probably still, going to the gas station to get gas. You might still be going to work if you are in a job that can't work from home. And so, even if you're fine catching this disease, you're still exposing lots of other people who aren't.
Right.
There's a study that came out over the weekend from Stanford researchers, and what they found is that these rallies are associated with increases, significantly higher, and those are estimates rather than like direct links.
Yeah.
But one of the things they point out in there is that a lot of the cases that come from these rallies, a lot of the deaths, unfortunately, even are things that come from rally attenders then subsequently infecting other people. And so it really, just really highlights how dangerous, how selfish it is to be holding these rallies when we know that, some portion of the people, that some people there are probably going to catch the virus, and then some of those people or people they interact with are going to die from it. Wow.
I mean, it's irresponsible, it's selfish, it's reckless. It's a form of terrorism. It's a form of bioterrorism, really. These rallies and people participating in them and just not caring, just not giving a damn. This is really good work, though. I do appreciate this, Thomas, and please relay the same thing to Emily Gee. Thomas Waldrop. I'm still stunned, right? And I'm looking as I'm looking at the brief again and seeing and having an opportunity to talk with you, Thomas Waldrop, policy analyst and health policy at the Center for American Progress, AmericanProgress.org, doing some great work over there. Co-authored this recent brief with his colleague Emily Gee. Trump rallies are often followed by increases in local COVID-19 cases, so I'm sure you'll be keeping a very close eye on that in the subsequent weeks and months ahead. Let's hope it doesn't get too bad. But Thomas, thanks for your work.
Absolutely. Thanks for talking with me about it.
All right. Take care. Be safe out there. Stay healthy. Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, phone lines are open at 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900 here on Reality Check. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location. And don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Joe Biden insulted millions of black Americans.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Worse, Biden wrote the mass incarceration laws that destroyed a generation of black families. Listen to Biden's racist rhetoric.
We have no choice but to take them out of society. Away from my mother, your husband, our families. Lock the SOBs up.
Biden's policies were so harmful that Senator Cory Booker called him an architect of mass incarceration. Millions of black lives devastated by Biden's policies.
Take a look at my record, man.
We did, and we've had enough. Joe Biden spent years hurting the black community. He insulted us, jailed us. We must not elect him president.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President, Inc.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Still concerned about COVID-19 and voting in person? Pennsylvania has you covered with mail-in ballots. Simply submit a completed ballot by mail. So long as you request that mail-in ballot between now and October 27th, go to votespa.com and apply for your mail-in ballot today. When your ballot arrives, read it carefully and follow the instructions to complete it and return it. You can also track and confirm that your County Board of Elections has received the mail-in ballot by going to votespa.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early. WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and wordradio.com.
All right, welcome back. Phone lines are open at 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. We at the noon hour, we head into our another one of our weekly conversations with members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Last week we had a conversation with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Today we are scheduled to speak with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Congresswoman Maxine Waters is scheduled to come up next here on Reality Check. She is also a California Congresswoman, also chair of the very powerful House Financial Services Committee. A lot of people don't realize that about Auntie Maxine. Yes, she chairs one of the most powerful committees, the Money Committee, in the House of Representatives. She'll be joining us. She's scheduled, I'm just saying scheduled, putting a little asterisk on that because I know they have some very busy schedules going on. I know that Congresswoman Waters, among one of those members who is busily on the campaign trail and trying to turn out the vote. So we do have her scheduled to come on here in about a little over 10 minutes or so here on Reality Check. 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900 here on Reality Check. 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Phone lines are open right now. Let's go to Facebook.com/forward, see some of the comments from some very smart folks who continue to listen into programs like ours. Thank you, Rosalind Allen. I remember, that was you. Yeah, Rosalind Kensington, who had called in and gave us that number for Ms. Shirley, who's doing the good work. trying to get people to the polls, particularly our elders to the polls, and that work's going to be needed. We're seeing that happening not just in Philly and PA, but in a number of other places as well. That's some work that is needed. There's some of our folks who do not have transportation, just don't assume that everyone has reliable transportation, especially in a time like this, a pandemic time like this, and don't assume that your elders who want to vote in person have already early voted or have been to the polls. So I really appreciate that work. I appreciate anyone that's getting that done. Junior Lee is asking, Charles, do you think voting turnout will be low, or will we see an uptick on turnout as well as the early vote? I think we could see that. I mean, at least that's what the data, that's what the numbers are suggesting, at least some of the early numbers that we're seeing, that people want to get in this fight. So there are some concerns. I'm cautiously optimistic about things, but there are some signs. There are also some polling data. I was looking at the CBS YouGov poll yesterday. I write about it. I write about this. In fact, Junior Lee and others can go to our companion magazine for reality check on WURD, WURD, thebenote.com. Go to thebenote.com, and I just kind of did a riff here and did an analysis on those numbers yesterday. And the title of that piece is, "This is a we election." It's a we election. Something I thought about too is my pastor was talking about in his sermon yesterday about the I candidates and the we candidates. He was like, don't trust the I candidates. Don't trust the I candidates. My pastor was saying yesterday during his election Sunday sermon, don't trust the I candidates because they will take you straight to hell. That was my Pastor William Lamar, who was saying that yesterday during his sermon. And but the we candidates definitely are the closest to God, and God, God is a we person, or God is a we spirit, and that's what this is all about. So I entitled it, as I was thinking about that, "This is a we election," but I put some numbers out there. It wasn't my post, my actual blog wasn't as sermonic or spiritual on any level as Pastor Lamar's, but I put those numbers out about how a much higher number of Trump 2020 voters are saying they will vote in person compared to Biden 2020 voters, but a high number, a huge number or majority number of Biden 2020 voters are taking advantage of early voting. We could see a lot of early voting today still. I think we will hit 100 million. We'll go 100 million plus early votes by the end of today, by the end of Monday. So I think that's going to happen. And I think we're going to see some high turnout definitely tomorrow. So there are just a lot of people who are waiting, whether it be Trump voters, and so everyone has to be very patient. Don't listen to the president. Like the president is going to say on Tuesday night, like he won, because we'll still have ballots coming in, and states like Pennsylvania will not have counted all their ballots, but he's going to try to use it as an optical gimmick and or acrobatics and make it seem like he won when he didn't. When things haven't been counted. So there's 32. Thank you for that, worker at Overtime Rules on Twitter, who's listening in. And also was listening to our earlier conversation with David Seaton and Daniel Moody. He was saying, last reported count, millions of paper ballots nationwide haven't been turned in. 32 million. Like, folks, if you were out there and you just got your mail-in ballot that's been sitting there on the kitchen counter or the dining room table or the coffee table for weeks now, or on your dresser, like, get to it. Come on, chop. Like, what you waiting for? Like, fill it out. And please, when you do this, okay, two things are real important. I'll take this call. Two things real important here. Please take your time filling out these ballots. Do not rush to fill out your mail-in ballot. I implore you. Even myself, I'm somebody who does this for a living, like every day, politics, right? Even I took my time. My wife and I made sure I read everything. I took a good 30 minutes. I'll admit it. I took a good 30 minutes just looking, maybe less than 30 minutes, but just looking everything over, reading every last line and item. Take your time. You got more than enough time. You could just slow down, take your time, fill out the ballot, and then please do not go to a post office, drop it in a box in either an early voting location in the city of Philadelphia or in a which we'll have like places where you can drop it off, mail-in ballot, go to the city commissioner's office, or drop it in a box. If you're in Pennsylvania or any other state for that matter, do not put it in the U.S. Postal Service. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's too last minute, and there's a very high likelihood it won't get there because the mail is overwhelmed right now. Let me go to Barbara out of West Philly calling in for a reality check. Barbara?
Good afternoon. I just wanted to know if there's a central place where we can go to find out the types of machines each state and territory are using for voting.
That's a good question. I don't know. I know there's one place that's been kind of keeping track of that kind of information. I don't know if they have a central website. The Brennan Center for Justice, BrennanCenter.org, has been doing that. And also we have our election security person who comes on every Wednesday, Jennifer Cohn, and she follows this very close. That's why we bring her on. She talks about those voting machines. I don't know if you do Twitter. Well, hold on a second. I think if you don't do Twitter, protectourvotes.com is a good place to go to where, protectourvotes.com, where she's following that issue real closely. That's a good question, though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Barber. Thanks for the question, too. But, yeah, Protect Our Votes, Jennifer Cohn's website that she does with her colleagues about election security. And one of the election security is about those voting machines, the integrity of those voting machines as well. We're about to actually go to break in just a moment because we're scheduled to talk with we're scheduled, once again, I'm scheduled to talk with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. She's going to be coming up shortly at the top of the noon hour. Also, don't forget, Nick T is back. Nick Taliaferro is back. He's got his new show, Evening Words, and he's giving out free WURD hoodies when you become a 4WURD member and use the code WELCOME BACK at checkout. So put the code WELCOME BACK, all the words are together, don't space them out, just use, it's all one word in this sense for the checkout, WELCOME BACK. So when you go to become a 4WURD member, use the code WELCOME BACK at checkout, and not only will you become a new WURD member today, but you'll get a free WURD hoodie. Those are $40. So you get a free $40 gift. This deal goes away today. So November 2nd is the last day of that. Go to wordradio.com/join now. Wordradio.com/join now to become a 4WURD member. Get your free hoodie today. So it's getting cold out there. It's all breezy and windy as it is right now. So, the temperatures are falling. So you want to get a WURD hoodie, keep you warm. And also, you want to be, the good look in the room or in the space, while you're social distancing. You want everyone to be attracted to your immaculate WURD logo, so your impressive WURD, because it's a fantastic logo, very colorful. So you want to wear that. You want to get that hoodie. You can get it for free instead of spending $40. Just sign up for your 4WURD membership, and tell them Nick T sent you. Tell them Nick T sent you, and then tell Nick T that I sent you, to get that free hoodie in celebration of Nick T returning to WURD. So once again, wordradio.com/join now or renew. You can renew today as well. Let's take a break, and hopefully when we come back, we'll have Congresswoman Maxine Waters joining us here on Reality Check 96.1 FM, 900 AM, wordradio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let me be as honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head.
America needs a president who can handle the job. America needs Joe Biden. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Tune into WURD Radio Tuesday, November the 3rd for an Election Day special. You'll get information about polling issues. You'll hear from candidates and some elected officials, as well as lively discussions. That's Tuesday, November the 3rd from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Only on WURD Radio 900 AM and 96.1 FM. This program is being brought to you by the Labor's District Council PACT Fund.
PECO has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from PECO and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at PECO.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PECO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at PECO.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hey, Mama, you calling me for a change? You and Daddy all right?
We're fine. Can't your mama call and check on her babies and get a little advice?
You know you can. What do you need help with?
Well, despite COVID-19, you know I'm not letting anything stop your father and I from voting this year. But we're here in Pennsylvania. Should we go to our precinct as usual? What's the best way?
You mean I get to be Mama for a minute? All you have to do is go to aarp.org/election 2020.
That's my favorite site, and they have a lot of information about the pandemic.
You only text me the website 3 times, but they have all the reliable, up-to-date voting information for voters 50 plus in every state. Want me to text it to you?
Girl, I know. It's aarp.org/election 2020.
Well, me being your mama didn't last long.
That's 'cause I'll always be your mama.
Yes, ma'am.
Word on Politics. This election day, tune in to Word Radio all day long for up-to-the-minute election day breakdowns and updates with Charles Ellison, beginning at 10 a.m. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WordRadio.com, the Word Radio app, and watch live on Word TV via Facebook and YouTube. Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. We're back at it here on the Monday, top of the election week edition of Reality Check here on the home of Black Talk Media. It's none other than WURD. We are 96.1 FM, 900 AM in Philadelphia proper, Philadelphia County, Greater Philly, Delaware Valley. But beyond that, throughout the nation, throughout the world, we are at WURDradio.com for our very robust, very strong live stream. Also on Word TV, you're watching us now on our Facebook live stream at facebook.com/4word and youtube.com/onWURD and via Word app as well. We're headed into our weekly conversations with the Congressional Black Caucus. Joining us now is Congresswoman Maxine Waters, serving California's 43rd congressional district. That's parts of Southern California, where I was born and where I spent some summers as well. I'm missing it right now. I haven't been out there since this pandemic started. You can go to waters.house.gov for more information. She is also chair of the powerful, influential House Financial Services Committee. She joins us here by phone on Reality Check. Congresswoman, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're certainly welcome. Good morning to you. And I'm honored to be with you this morning.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. It's good to talk with you. It's been a long while. So I did want to talk with you about, because you're there with Financial Services Committee, and I know you've been immersed in those negotiations over a potential stimulus, as they call it, or recovery relief package, economic relief package during pandemic. Those negotiations are at a standstill right now. I guess everyone's kind of waiting to see what the outcome of the election to be, but there was also a sequence of events which led to that standstill. I want to get your perspective on that, because I know a lot of, even though we had the Supreme Court battle, people felt like the House and Senate should have been trying to pass a stimulus. What happened? Because you all passed something in May. It was like $3.2 trillion. What happened?
Yes, you're absolutely right. The House passed a $3.2 trillion stimulus, and that was after, working with the experts, working with the economists, trying to figure out what was really needed, in our economy and with our people. And so we passed it over to the Senate. They didn't even engage on it. They basically said they were not going to even negotiate on it. So time passed. We finally talked them back. We tried to negotiate with them. They did not negotiate in good faith. They just simply said it was too much money. They didn't like the fact that there was $600 in the CARES bill, a supplement to those who were receiving unemployment benefits. They thought that was too much money. They really railed against getting any money to the cities and states. And these were the heroes that we were referring to in the HEROES Act, those people on the front lines who come to work every day, janitors and clerks and folks who put their lives at risk to provide the services and to keep our economy going. They really said that they were not going to support any money for the cities and the states. And, of course, I had in that bill $100 billion for rental assistance. We have people now who have not been able to pay their rent for almost 3 months. And even while those negotiations were going on, the president intervened, and he did what was known as an eviction moratorium with no money in it, and basically said, we'll extend the moratorium till December. And all of the landlords, particularly the small ones who have 2, 4, 6, 8 units, many of those units they have acquired in order to have retirement income. Some of those properties you still have a mortgage on. And so these small landlords are expected to do the repairs and keep up the properties without any income coming in. It's not fair. And so they rejected the idea of $100 billion for rental assistance. At some point in the negotiations, when we had an opportunity for Nancy Pelosi and Schumer to negotiate with Mnuchin, they agreed that we would back down. We would back down and we would compromise. And in that compromise, we dropped everything to $2.2 trillion. We still could not get an agreement with them. The $100 billion that I had in for rental assistance, we dropped it down to $50 billion. Then we dropped it down to $40 billion. We still could not get them to act in good faith. We also have in there, a continuing support for the small businesses, the PPP, where we were able to help the MDIs, the Minority Depository Institutions, the CDFIs, the credit unions, and the community banks. We did that after there were problems with the big banks who had created these ways by which their concierge clients could get funding. Some of the big businesses, the franchises, the restaurant chains, et cetera, they were so ashamed they sent them that money back. But we were working with what we have left in PPP and encouraging people to come in for a second opportunity for loans. But all of that now is left without any closure because the Senate went home and closed down. And we don't have anything to deal with the people of this country, many of whom are in desperate need to put food on the table. And so it's a sad time. But we're going to take back this country, and we're going to move on dealing with this pandemic, dealing with COVID-19, and responding to it in a responsible way. That's our responsibility as a government in a time of crisis to deal with it and to make sure that we do everything that we can to keep people with a halfway decent quality of life. So that's where we are.
And Chairwoman, too, everything on Capitol Hill is, as someone who's worked there, as a staffer at one point a long time ago, but everything's political, obviously, of course. But this particular move, holding that bill at such a really urgent time and desperate time, how politically cynical was that maneuver? Was there conversations, or was there sort of a feeling that, like, well, we're just going to hold this stimulus or this relief package hostage? We're going to wait to see what the election might look like, or maybe we're waiting to see. Maybe they had some kind of figure in their head, and all they wanted to do was just kind of, I don't know, get some President Trump signed stimulus checks out again, make it seem like he was really kind of looking out for the American people. And right before on the eve of the election, that just didn't work out. The Republicans amongst themselves couldn't get it together. What accounts for all that, you think?
Well, some of what you just alluded to, and some of the rumors that I heard about, they all boil down to, number one, they didn't want Democrats to have credit for the response to, COVID-19. Also, there was some talk about the president being able to sign stimulus checks without going through the process and sending them out. That didn't work out. At one point in time, they simply wanted to do something on the business side, but nothing on the family support side, nothing with the $1,200, similar to what we had done in the CARES Act for the families, and additional money for each child. And then again, this business about blue states and red states, and how the blue states had not been responsible in the way that they have spent their money in the past, and so they were not going to do anything for them, and trying to carve out something just for the red states. And of course, we have to adamantly be opposed to that kind of thing. So it's all of that and more. But to tell you the truth, it is a lack of care and concern. It is political. It is, we're going to have our way. We don't care who we hurt. We don't care about hungry children. We don't care about the fact that families are standing in line all over this country for food, lines around the block. We don't really care that we're not doing everything that we can to have all of the PPE, the equipment in the hospitals and the clinics and the nursing homes to deal with avoiding, people being able to spread, coronavirus in these institutions, because there's a lack of equipment for nurses and doctors and others to deal with. It is absolutely unconscionable that this could be on the minds of those who have demonstrated that they were not going to come to closure in these negotiations. McConnell is the worst. I mean, McConnell is like a devil with horns on his head, who could care less about hungry children or families that are in deep need. And the President of the United States only thinks about himself. How can he advantage himself? How can he look like he is the savior? How could he point out that he's better than the Democrats? And you have Mnuchin, who can only do what the president is telling him to do. And we have Nancy Pelosi and Schumer working as hard as they can possibly work, offering up, all kinds of concessions, trying to move enough that we would be able to, give some support and a safety net for the least of these. But they went home and they thumped their nose at us. But I want to tell you, it is top of the agenda when we take back this government, when we take that White House, and when we take the Senate and even improve on what we have in the House and expand those numbers. We're going to take this country in a new direction. I am so convinced that it is possible. I'm so convinced that we're looking good at the work that we're doing. I never take anything for granted, but I'm feeling good about the possibility of being able to use my committee, working with the President of the United States, in order to undo some of the harm and devastation that has been caused by this president, and move to do good and well by the people of this country who expect their government to help them out in this time of crisis.
Which, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. She represents California's 43rd Congressional District, parts of Southern California, and also she is chairwoman of the House Financial Services Committee. Go to waters.house.gov for more information to learn more about who she is, what she does. And if you happen to be listening in through our live streams, happen to be in her district or close by, you want to get in touch with your congresswoman at waters.house.gov. She's joining us here on Reality Check. Congresswoman, to talk about like the contrast between plans, one actual kind of plan that seems rather robust coming from the Biden-Harris camp, and another plan which is being described as a plan doesn't seem as robust, at least robust on paper, coming from the Trump-Pence camp. But the plans as far as black people, as far as black communities are concerned, for black communities, the president constantly touts, or he talks about, and he's got a sort of pool of celebrity black entertainers saying that they've got a platinum plan. Sounds like a car wash, but I want to get your thoughts on that, like, kind of the contrast between those two plans, because there's some people out there who it seems to resonate with some folks out there, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Well, the first thing that those who are, thinking that the platinum plan can be a reality, they must first think about, why hasn't he demonstrated his support for the African American community for the 3 years or so that he's been in office? Why is it he's just coming up with a so-called plan? And let's take a look at how he's related to the African American community. Why was it that he took some of our greatest heroes like John Lewis and basically said some of the most damning things about them and said some of the most terrible things about their district? Why did he treat Cummins in the way that he did before he died? Why did he talk about blacks, having nothing, and not only talking about us and demeaning us in the United States, but all over the world, and talking about all of the countries headed by black people as shitholes? Why don't they understand that? And why don't they understand that he is not prepared and has never denounced the white supremacists, the KKK, or any of the others who are haters of black people, who would at any minute do anything that they could to destroy us if they could get away with it? And why don't he demand that they not interfere with the protests and threaten us and all of that? I mean, I had a play mother who died. She was 99 years old. But what she said, which I hold dear, is she said, look, when people talk to her about what they were going to do, what they, believed in, what have you, her response was, I can't hear what you say. I'm watching what you do. Haven't they watched this president for the whole time that he's been in? Don't they know that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has properties that are dilapidated, properties that need repair, properties that he will, put, single parents out on if they get behind in their rent? Don't they know that this man does not give a darn about the black community? He gets up and lies in front of our faces and talks about he's done more for the black community than anybody else. When are some of these people who support the Platinum Plan said, well, tell us what you have done. Identify what you have done so that we can see and we can relate to what we don't know, because we don't know what you have done. We don't see what you have done. Why don't you identify that and let's evaluate that? And so it is reasonable. It is not logical for anybody to believe him. This is a con man. This is con man Don. And he will tell a lie quicker than a cat can blink his eye. That's another one of my play mothers saying. He will lie quicker than a cat can blink his eye. So, I mean, I don't know why anybody would fall for it. I just don't get it. I mean, logical thinking people who evaluate, who are able to discern, should not fall for it. And so all I can say is, if they have any hopes that if he's reelected, he'll be better than what he is now, he won't. He doesn't care about anybody. I want to tell you something. Even with his friends, the conservatives and his supporters, who love the military, what did he say about the military? They're only a bunch of losers and suckers. Now, if he will say that about the beloved militaries, particularly of the conservatives and the right-wingers and all who fight real hard to put more money into the military. If he can say that, who does he care about?
Yeah.
Whom does he care about? He doesn't care about anybody. And I want to tell you something. They better take heed. When he said, to the Proud Boys, basically, back down but stand ready. I don't know if I'm using the exact word.
Yeah, stand back, stand by, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What he's saying is get ready for the fight. Get ready for the Civil War. Get ready for, how we're going.
How worried are you about that? As far as I mean, we've been seeing violence kind of bubbling up for a couple of months now. I feel like media has sort of downplayed that or how serious that is. But how worried are you? What's that conversation like amongst your colleagues, amongst the leadership in the House about that?
Well, I can tell you what the conversation is about in parts of my community and the people that I associate with who, have oftentimes good advice and have legitimate and, substantive conversations about politics. It is, we have to be concerned. We have to be concerned because they said, don't forget, you have been threatened to be killed. You have not only reported this, but the investigations have caused some to be indicted, and some are doing time. And don't forget, there were attempts to send through the mail ways by which they could kill you and they could poison you. And so you're not dealing with people who are, are sound. You're dealing with people who hate you because of the color of your skin and who could roll out with their guns, with their AK-47, and roll out from the hills where they do their practice, have their practice ranges, and start shooting us up and start killing people at will. I believe that is possible, and I believe that his dog whistling emboldens them to be able to do that. And when they talked about even kidnapping the governor of Michigan and taking over government, you're dealing with a bunch of crazy fools and a bunch of people who believe that they have a right to run this country and that we don't have a right to earn a decent living. We don't have a right to be in influential positions, and they'll never forgive the country for having Barack Obama as the president, and they don't intend for anything like that to ever happen again. They don't like the black athletes. They think they're too smart. They make too much money. He's talked about them, called them SOBs, and they want to believe somebody who comes up at the last minute with something to call a platinum plan. Well, they can all go to hell.
I'm talking with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, also chairwoman of the House Financial Services Committee. Go to waters.house.gov, @Rep Maxine Waters on all social media platforms. She's been joining us here on Reality Check this Monday morning. Congresswoman, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Please stay safe out there, Congresswoman. That comes from me and everyone out there.
We have a big campaign going on. They sent a black Republican with $8 million to run against me.
I saw that. I saw that.
We're backing down. We're in a fight. He's got $8 million endorsed by Trump, the Republican Party, and the money keeps coming in from Mississippi and Arkansas and Alabama and all the states where they have these little conservative PACs. But that's okay. We're fighting. You can't buy the district. We're on the ground, and we're going to run a tough campaign. We have run a tough campaign, and we're playing to win.
All right. All right. Good luck to you, Congresswoman, and please stay safe. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. All right, take care. That was Congresswoman Maxine Waters joining us for our weekly conversations with the Congressional Black Caucus. Strong words on the eve of this election. Waters.house.gov for more information. And yeah, she's facing a battle of her own, and her, members of the House have to, basically go up for re-election every 2 years. That's every last member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and some of those races are fairly easy, and then sometimes there are some of those races for incumbents like Congresswoman Waters can get difficult, and so or a little bit challenging. So she is facing that challenge in her own district, 43rd Congressional District. But we'll keep an eye on that. Is one race we'll keep an eye on. But she'll probably do okay. She'll probably do all right. She should be able to maintain that seat. Waters.house.gov for more information. @Rep Maxine Waters. Let's take a break. When we come back, phone lines are open. 215-634-80. Oh no, I'm sorry. Nicolette Lewis is supposed to come up because we gotta get some updates on the coronavirus, on the pandemic. Dr. Nicolette Lewis-Saint of Healthcare Ready is coming up next. Healthcare, but the phone lines are open in case you have questions about that, because cases are spiking, y'all. Like, it is getting real out there. We got the election, and we still got this pandemic. HealthcareReady.org for more information. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. Dr. Lewis-Saint should be joining us next here on Reality Check 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDRadio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tobias Harris. We've been hashtagging and protesting, but this November, we can show the system what time it is. We've been victims of police brutality, stop and frisk, and other forms of harassment. On November 3rd, we take our power back. This year, everything changes. We can vote to end stop and frisk and put police accountability in the hands of the people. It's on us. On November 3rd, vote to make our communities safer and our systems fairer.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
During this pivotal election season, your friends at Power Interfaith and Black Clergy of Philadelphia and vicinity want to make sure that no vote is left behind. So if you need a free ride to your polling place, call 844-769-3788. That's 844-POWER-VT. Whether you need to drop off your ballot or vote in person, they'll provide you a clean, safe, and free ride. Just call 844-769-3788. That's 844-POWER-VT. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDRadio.com.
All right, welcome back to Reality Check 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDRadio.com, WURD TV, WURD app. We're continuing with Reality Check Monday. This is Reality Check. Reality Check on the election week. We got hashtag Word on Politics special election coverage all week is starting now here on Reality Check Monday. We're on all throughout the week. Don't forget, we got a special broadcast. I have a special broadcast at 9 p.m. on election night live. I'll be anchoring that special broadcast 9 p.m. to midnight, unless it gets like really dramatic by the time we get to midnight, and then we'll see what we do there. It all depends on just how dramatic it gets or what events transpire. Let's just hope everything goes smoothly as possible. It's not smooth right now, but let's just hope folks can. Let's hope cooler heads prevail. Let's just keep it at that, right? And everyone remains patient. But more importantly, especially on election day, where people anticipated or expected to crowd up at polling locations, also people have got to stay safe. Continue to practice very smart pandemic social distancing, mask up protocols. I'm here to talk a little bit about that and more is Dr. Nicolette Lewis-Saint. We bring her here pretty much every week. She's Executive Director of Healthcare Ready. Go to healthcareready.org for more information. Phone lines are open in case you have questions. If you have questions, you want to add a little bit of layer or share some of your experiences during pandemic, 215 or concerns, 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. Nicolette, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
All right. Yeah, I know it's I hear a little hesitation in your voice, right? Okay, so I do have to ask you, right? People crowding up at you see these long lines, people crowding up at polling locations. We're going to see more of that tomorrow. It may get even more dramatic tomorrow than it's already been with the early voting. How worried are you about that? From what you're saying and what you're gathering and people you're communicating with, I mean, have election officials and multiple states, for the most part, have they found a rhythm? Have they been keeping it safe at these polling locations?
Yeah, I'll be honest and say I am not worried about COVID transmission at polling places as much as I'm thinking about what happens after Election Day. What we have seen so far, even during the unrest uprisings related to the killing of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, is that people do know how to take the appropriate precautions. If you recall, around that time, there was a very close tracking to see if there was going to be an uptick. If we are able to continue the pace that we've seen so far, which is a lot of people using mail-in or provisional ballots as an option, a lot of people choosing to vote early as an option, what we hope to be able to see, especially with the weather getting cooler, is that mask usage, sanitizer using, washing your hands, bringing your own pen are sufficient to make sure that people are able to vote safely. We've also seen that a lot of boards of elections have been working really hard to make sure that there are plans in place, but a big part of that plan was getting people to vote early.
Yeah. So the getting to vote early, I think the great thing about this vote early and the mail-in ballots, providing all these options, right, Nicolette, is that it spread things out instead of having people all crammed up against one another, waiting for hours like all day, because we are anticipating high turnout. Like we just spread this stuff out as much as we could. Sans voter suppression. I want to get your thoughts on it without you getting political, obviously. But
sure. But I want to make one quick point, though.
Oh, go ahead.
You talked about early voting. Part of the reason that it was important is because individuals who knew that they were medically vulnerable could vote early. So the idea is that the elderly, people that were comorbid, many of those individuals who wanted to be able to get in and vote could do it when there wasn't a line. So that's another big part of it. It's not just being able to spread it out. It's also making sure that those who would be more vulnerable did it early, and I'm hoping that they did.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I'm hoping they did too. I'm seeing, our elders. They love to do it on, and they need that. They need to trust and verify, right? Like
my partner is even committed to voting on Election Day, no matter how much I've asked to vote early. I myself did a mail-in ballot, but they're committed. So
they're committed.
I completely understand it.
That's what I finally broke down. Like my wife broke me down and was like, you know what, we talked about it because it's the tradition. We go as a family, go vote. And so we're like, we could just go to the grocery store. It's the same thing. She's like, well, she's like, yeah, she's like, but it's going to be a lot of people there. And she's like, do you really think, even if we get up early in the morning, do you really think all these people out here who are going to be on there on the same day, do you really think you're going to get to your broadcast in time? I was like, good point. I was like, let's fill out that mail-in ballot, because we were about to switch up even after we got the mail-in ballots. And we just dropped it in the box, and it felt good. And when I went to the box, it just so happened it was by luck. They were taking ballots out of the box to go process. They were kind of going. They had a cop there, a guard, and we got a voting sticker, got an I voted sticker. Like, well, how lucky was that, right? And so that worked out pretty well. Actually, had our own little, and it wasn't like a huge line of cars driving up to the box. We just went ahead and did it. Without digressing too much. With this campaign activity, because we had, I don't know if you've seen this. I'm gonna have to send it to you, but Center for American Progress just did this brief on they're trying to keep it as nonpartisan as possible, but they saw something that concerned them. The rallies, the campaign rallies that the president's holding, they're followed by increases in local COVID-19 cases, and they've been looking at every time there's a rally. Have you been watching that? What's the conversation around that?
Yes. We have been watching that. So I actually, even this morning, responded to what I think is a deeply flawed analysis that is saying that lockdowns are the problem. The problem is that if you are tracking what's happening at the rallies, this has been going on for a couple of months, but those specific rallies, because there is a lack of seriousness that this particular pandemic is being treated with, you're seeing no mask wearing. You're seeing encouragement to not wear masks. You're seeing clusters of people that are not socially distanced because of a rejection of the seriousness of these precautions. And so despite the administration and the civil servants continuing to, across public health, reinforce the need to take those actions, they're not being adhered to at those events, which is why you're seeing the uptick in cases afterwards. I think we first talked about this when it was Herman Cain that passed away. But that's what you're seeing, and it is concerning, because an event like a pandemic doesn't need to be politicized, but this is why many emergency managers will tell you that disasters of all types end up being politicized anyway. So we are tracking that very closely. It is very concerning. And it's also concerning from the vantage point of what's happening on the hospitalization side. We've got tens of thousands of people in the last few days being hospitalized due to COVID. So the other part of it is it's creating tremendous strain in an already strained healthcare system. And so that's the other part that we really need to be mindful of, is what happens when you're having these rallies and you're seeing a subsequent uptick in cases, and you're straining these local health systems that are already overburdened.
Yeah, talk about that too, like the hospital beds. Are we kind of reaching an event horizon with that, like hospital bed capacity, or it's reason to be worried but not alarmed yet as far as hospital bed capacity? I think we're at the point where
we need to be alarmed, but I think there are a couple of ways to look at it. People often ask about like the number of beds available. That is one thing. The number of ICU beds available is another measure, but you also have to remember that there are staff that are needed to care for these, care for people in those beds. And so there are many different ways to measure it, and as well as remembering that it's not just about like total ICU bed capacity across the state or even across the nation. It's about what's going to be available in that county, in that region. And we are seeing some regions that are already significantly stressed and strained. We've been concerned about Arizona for a while. They're upticking again. We're concerned about states like Pennsylvania and Ohio. There are reasonable upticks, and part of it has to do with the ICU bed capacity. Part of it has to do with existing strain. Also, recognizing that these health systems have been crippled for the last year due to COVID. Just remember that these are not money-making endeavors for healthcare systems. So they are limping through this pandemic and really working to take care of their staff, really working to make sure that they have money to be able to procure the supplies that they need to treat COVID patients. So it is not a good scenario across the nation, and I think most of us have never stopped being alarmed, but we are significantly more alarmed now than we have been for the past few months.
You know what, and kind of coming off pandemic for a moment here, Nicolette, because for a while here, we have not talked about the hurricane season, because I think now the records have been matched, right? We had, what the record was 28? We exceeded the number of hurricanes in a season, a hurricane season, with Hurricane Zeta or Tropical Storm Zeta hitting the Gulf Coast. And so now there's that other conversation, because we've been kind of so immersed and obsessed with, and for good reason, preoccupied with pandemic, that climate crisis and all these disasters happening around us. We haven't really been kind of talking about that, like how strained medical systems, response systems are. How is it now? Like how have we kind of gone into another phase of how that's evolved, how these emergency response, emergency management systems already strained because of COVID-19, how they're dealing with these climate crisis impacts?
Right. So we do have a Hurricane Eta, which is coming after Zeta, that is in the Atlantic preparing to hit Central America right now. So we've surpassed it, and we are still continuing to see significant activity in the Atlantic. But we're also seeing a lot of activity in the Pacific, and we should keep an eye on that because for many reasons, one being public health issues anywhere should be important to us as a global community, but also recognizing that those are also, especially the places that are being impacted across Asia are also places where some of our medical supplies come from. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to pay attention to. We are, from our vantage point, we are continuing to maintain the reality that emergency management has been strained. This has been the case for months. We are continuing to recognize that emergency management, public health agencies that have been historically and continually underfunded do not have the manpower they need. There was a great article that really described the scenario for a lot of individuals that are on the West Coast fighting wildfires that only had 6 more hours of work that they would be allowed to do because they have to maintain a temporary employment status with the federal government. And so if there's another wildfire, you will not have the personnel needed to be able to respond. These are just the realities. So I wouldn't say it's worse. I would say it's been in a dismal state for the last 6 to 8 months, and we've not yet addressed the fact that this is an infrastructure problem that we need to actually support.
Nicolette Lewis-Saint is Executive Director of Healthcare Ready. Go to healthcareready.org for more information. Joining us here on Reality Check, as she does every Monday. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time, Nicolette. Please stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the other side of electoral apocalypse. But hope to be talking to you next week, and everything's hopefully cool and copacetic, as I used to say. But thank you.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself.
All right. Take care. You too. Okay, let's take a break. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. After we come back, phone lines are open, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900 here on Reality Check. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm former Mayor John Street.
And I'm Mayor Street's son, Senator Sharif Street.
You know, I've been out here fighting for what's right for a long, long time, but I can't think of an election more important than the one that's happening right now.
We all know we have to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but we also have a couple of hometown heroes that we need to elect.
Nina Ahmad served as the City of Philadelphia Deputy Mayor, and it would be a welcome change to have a strong woman of color go to Harrisburg to fight for all of us.
We also have working class hero John Kane running for state senate. He's a blue collar guy ready to fight for better paying jobs and accessible health care. I'd love to have John Kane join me in the state senate.
This election is just too important. So when you go out, vote for Joe and Kamala.
Don't forget to vote for Nina Ahmad for Auditor General and John Kane for State Senator.
This message is paid for by the Friends of Sharif Street.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you sick of trying to cut and style your own hair and the rest of your family?
Well, McLean's Unisex Salon in Mount Airy is open for business. We've been a neighborhood institution for more than 50 years, with styles for men, women, and kids. We have new partitions and social distancing measures to keep everyone safe while keeping the welcoming feel you've come to expect from your neighborhood shop. Visit us online at mcleansunisex.com or call now to make an appointment, 215-844-9826.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Still concerned about COVID-19 and voting in person? Pennsylvania has you covered with mail-in ballots. Simply submit a completed ballot by mail. So long as you request that mail-in ballot between now and October 27th, go to votespa.com and apply for your mail-in ballot today. When your ballot arrives, read it carefully and follow the instructions to complete it and return it. You can also track and confirm that your County Board of Elections has received the mail-in ballot by going to votespa.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early. WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the up-and-coming election. Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. More than 2/3 of all poll workers are 61 years of age or older. That's created a serious poll worker shortage, as older poll workers are understandably nervous about health risks during pandemic. If you or someone you know under the age of 40 is looking for part-time work and is interested in contributing to their community, sign up to be a poll worker today. In Pennsylvania, go to votespa.com, click on Be a Poll Worker, and complete an application. Keep following us at onWURD on Twitter, facebook.com/forward, and hashtag Word on Politics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed
and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and wordradio.com.
All right, welcome back. 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Phone lines are open. Let me go to Mia out of Southwest calling in for a reality check. Mia, how are you doing?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Ellison.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I heard you mention earlier in your that Pennsylvania, may well be the deciding state in the election tomorrow. Right. Well, will be. Okay. And what I'm wondering is, I've been hearing this, can you explain to those of us who may not really understand, like how is it that it comes down to Pennsylvania this year and not, a Florida or a Texas like as it was in previous years? Like, how is it that Pennsylvania will now be the deciding factor?
Yeah, I mean, basically, no, thanks for that question. Yeah, basically, Pennsylvania has a huge has a huge pool of, or cache of electoral college votes, has about 20 electoral college votes. And I'm going to, in fact, people can mess around. I often go to this website, and I would encourage you, young people too, if you have young people in the house who are interested in kind of what's going on and want to understand the electoral college, because there's two things a presidential candidate has to win. One is the popular vote, and then the popular vote has to translate into an electoral college when you have to win the electoral college. And so Pennsylvania is one of those key states where you have not just a large number of electoral college votes, 20 in total. Places like Florida has 29. Florida is one of those high electoral college places, but it also has a high number of voters within it, or potential voters, people who vote. I think already we've had, I didn't look at the early stats. Last time I looked at it was like 2 million early votes thus far cast in Pennsylvania. And we could see a lot more turnout. So, and it's a big state. So it's like, even if, like, it could come down to Pennsylvania if, say, like, Trump wins Florida, right? He wins Florida. He wins a few other, he wins Ohio. Say he picks up, like I have it right here, I'm looking at, it's this website called 270 to Win, 270towin.com, and it lets you play around and play around with different scenarios to see, okay, you can literally put your mouse over a state and make it red or make it blue. But if Trump picks up like Florida, Georgia, Ohio, where it's tight, but he still picks those up, and then he picks up Pennsylvania, that Joe Biden could win by a very slim margin, just 270 electoral college votes to Trump's 268. That's just real slim. That's just like a two-part distance. But then imagine if this is a map, this is what I have, if Joe Biden takes those states you keep hearing about, like Michigan, Wisconsin, and what else, Arizona, Nevada, like I have him picking those up. But what if I take one of those, but if Trump takes Pennsylvania, and then what if I take Wisconsin's 10 electoral college votes off the map, suddenly Trump has 278 electoral college votes because he got Pennsylvania, and Biden only gets 260. You see what I'm saying? So that's why Pennsylvania is so crucial, because if, like, Trump picks up those southern states, North Carolina, those key ones are to watch are North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and then is able to pick up, say, a Wisconsin or a Michigan. It all boils down to Pennsylvania, right? Like, so now, with that, and I thank you for that question too, Mia, because it's a very important question. I appreciate it. It was very perceptive of you. One last point.
Thank you. And then I'm sorry, may I add just one more thing, because you mentioned North Carolina. Now, I just saw on the news this morning where they said state troopers or whoever it was, some police, outfit, tear gas a march of people that were marching to the polling place. And they arrested at least 8 of them when I last saw it this morning on the news. There had been at least 8 arrests. And then, the rest of the crowd that was marching to the polling place had been tear gassed. And I hadn't heard this anywhere else. Like, I listened to, Solomon Jones this morning, then I listened to you, and I hadn't heard anybody mention that. Now, I'm thinking, as far as it comes to suppressing the vote, I'm thinking that's some of the ploys and tactics that they're pulling out now to try to suppress, one of those key states like North Carolina. I know what we're doing, like here in Philadelphia. I've heard about the DA's task force, that they have, watching the poll watchers, and they have the numbers out that you can call if any of these shenanigans happen. But when it's the police or the sheriffs or the, whoever it is, that's tear gassing these people and arresting people in an attempt to suppress the vote, like what do we do about that? How can we do something about those type of things? And they're already pulling it off in North Carolina. You know what I mean?
Right. One good start, and thank you for, that's in Graham, North Carolina. We did see that, and there's been some questions around that. One is you want a good start, like if you're anywhere in the country, is 866-OUR-VOTE. That's a good phone number to start with. That's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week election task force hotline. ACLU Lawyers Committee, a bunch of civil rights organizations, they staff those lines with election lawyers, and they're looking out for issues like that. like, and events like, and I'm sure that that's already been looked at right now. It's something we didn't talk about here on Reality Check today, but we will talk more about it. And it's other places where I'm hearing that kind of activity. People just have to, and also just be careful. Just, when you go into a polling location, just go to vote. That would be my, I'm just being real talk with you. Just go to vote and then get your vote in and go home. Like I would caution people at this moment in time, because right now things are tense. Like, if you can avoid it, like don't like, as the old saying, don't start none, won't be none. Just go vote. Yeah, like don't try to create any major protest or any kind of major scene. Just go vote. If you go on with your family and friends and you're there for moral support, just go quietly and just get it done. So that would be, I'm not blaming that on those brothers who were marching. I think that was, was very proud. They wanted to show that they were doing this, and that was great. But at this moment in time, I would highly advise people, just go vote. Just get it done, or get your mail-in ballots dropped in the box. I gotta let you go, Mia, so I can take one more call. But thank you for that. I appreciate you asking about the Electoral College. Let me go to George out of Center City calling for a reality check. George, real quick. You got 2 minutes.
Charles, first, I think we don't have to worry about all this militia foolishness coming here in the city.
I don't think we do either.
Basically, in the black community, not here. Too much going on that those militias out in Delaware County have been talked to. Second thing is that I think we should more so focus after this election on the way that this young lady and her baby was in the back of that car. I mean, they get away with certain things of doing. And those are the type of things that we should be more focused on. And if everybody worried about their own city and worry about what they're doing, then Biden and everything will go okay. I mean, stretch ourselves thin instead of worrying about what's going on here. And like I say, money, dollars to donuts, that those idiots, see, it's one thing if you got a gun and if you got a gun and I got a gun, then we talk with sense. But if you got a gun and I don't have a gun, then I have to take your abuse. So it's going to be, they know what they've been told and warned. So, people here, it's going to be a large turnout. I advise everybody to go to their polls early and everything.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about all these rumors and this hearsay, getting caught up in that foolishness. Worry about Philadelphia. Don't worry about everywhere else. Because
they're not going to mess with Philly. Yeah. They know. Yeah, you're right about that, George. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that, George. I'm gonna have to let you go too. But yeah, no, I'm kind of hearing that too. I appreciate George bringing that up as well. Just go vote, and don't be dramatic about it when you do. Just get it done. That's what's important. Get your ballot in. Either go to the polling site and do your thing on election day, or get your mail-in ballot. Get it in and drop it in a box today or as soon as possible. Hey, also don't forget Nick T's back with Evening Words, and he's giving you a free hoodie if you become a WURD member and use the code welcome back at checkout. So if you become a WURD member today, you'll receive a free WURD hoodie valued at $40. You'll get a free WURD hoodie if you sign up for your WURD membership today. So the deal stops today, November 2nd, election eve. So you want to take advantage of that deal today, November 2nd. Use the code welcome back at checkout when you sign up for your WURD membership or renew. Go to wordradio.com/join now to join or renew today. All right, that wraps our Monday election eve edition of Reality Check here on the home of Black Talk Media, WURD. Remember, #word on politics. God willing, I should be here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, #word on politics, and then 9 p.m. again, 9 p.m. to midnight for our election night coverage. Want to thank Troy Wilmore, back at it, back on the board is still. You should thank Troy Wilmore too. Good to have him back as well. Good to see him. And everyone, we got The Source coming up with Andrea Lawful Sanders. That's coming up next, so stay tuned in to WURD. Everyone, want you to stay sharp, stay smart, and please stay safe out there. Get your ballot in, y'all. Get your ballot in, okay? Go vote. I'll talk to you tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp on our Tuesday edition. Take care.